Hi, welcome to another Sporting Communities podcast. Sporting Communities are a community interest company. We are an ethical, non-for-profit organisation which services range from sports coaching, youth work, mentors and family support. We are a training academy delivering a range of qualifications, and we also have art and play services. Again, I'm James. Thank you for listening again. Today I'm joined by Ed, Mim and Sam. So we've got Sam joining us again this week, which is great. We're going to do a quick introduction for you all, just say how we've been over the last sort of week or so, and then we'll get into the podcast. So Ed, starting with you.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name's Ed. I'm Derbyshire Development Officer for Sporting Communities. I also help run some of the coaching sessions around Derby. My interests are just staying fit and healthy, really. I like going to the gym, playing all different sports, mainly badminton and football. I also like just chilling out, watching some films, spending time with family, friends and taking my dog out.
Great stuff. Mim, coming to you.
So hi, my name's Mim. I'm a youth engagement worker for the organisation. So I sort of go out into the communities and help deliver sessions with young people. My passions and hobbies outside of work are sort of creative, so music, art. So yeah, that's me.
Fab. And coming to you, Sam.
Hi, I'm Sam. I am the Family Support Officer for Sporting Communities. I work on the side of supporting communities. Outside working, I enjoy spending quality time with my children, trying to juggle work life and parenthood.
Great stuff. Thank you for that. Again, I'm James. So I've been with Sporting Communities for just over a year, mainly going out into the community, putting on sessions and trying to put smiles on faces, really. So yeah, that's the quick introduction. Just going to go through a couple of things that we're going to cover on this week's podcast. So firstly, we're going to go over the few changes that have been announced this week. So pubs, restaurants and bits like that are obviously going to be opening. We're then going to cover about the Rashford campaign for school meals. So getting free school meals for kids over the summer, which is obviously fantastic with the government U-turn on that. And then we're going to have a few questions for Sam, with her being on this week, just about parenthood, how she's sort of juggling home life and with kids and still trying to work. So we'll come to her for that. So just starting with the announcements, guys. Obviously this week it has been announced that from the 4th of July, restaurants, pubs are going to be able to open, still with social distancing, but the 2 metre rule has now been lowered to the 1 metre plus rule. I just wanted to get a few opinions on that. What do you think about it? Are you going to be going out to restaurants? Do you feel comfortable going out yet? Or do you still feel like it's a bit soon for you? So I don't know who wants to start, but you want to fire away with some opinions on that.
Personally, for someone who's been sticking to the rules the whole time and not been out apart from shopping, I feel like the majority of the response that I'm feeling and getting from people is that it's a good thing. They're looking forward to being able to get out. Something that's obviously we saw come in following the opening of retail shops and non-essential shops as well. So it will be good. I think that there's never going to be an ideal time, but I just don't think that opening them when it's Derby Forest on Saturday is a great idea.
I suppose they probably won't be looking at the fact that Derby are playing Forest this weekend, but yeah, I think definitely in our area, I think that definitely is going to have a bit of an impact. So it'll certainly be interesting to see which pubs decide to try and open and show the game, whether there'll be sort of some localised rules around that, and the fact that they can't. I mean, in my opinion, it should be that really they shouldn't be showing games in pubs and stuff like that this weekend, being the first one. But what they do with that, we'll have to just wait and see, I suppose. Mim, Sam, did you have any opinions on it? Do you feel comfortable with the fact that pubs and restaurants are opening? Are you going to be going out to pubs and restaurants yourselves, or?
I personally feel that, I mean, it's a personal choice, isn't it? I know that I'm quite anxious about that, so I personally won't be going out for the first couple of weeks, just because I'd rather sort of look at the statistics and see if it's working before I sort of expose myself to that. But again, I don't think we should penalise people who are going and doing that, because it is a personal preference and how comfortable you feel in yourself and, you know, your personal sort of fears around that happening. So I think we should all sort of be open about that and how we're feeling, and sort of support everyone in the choices that they're making.
Yeah, definitely. How do you feel about it, Sam? Because I know obviously you've still been going out to work, whereas the rest of us, we have been at home, pretty much locked in our houses. I know that with you being an essential worker, you have been going out, so you have still been going out and doing stuff outside of the home. Do you feel like you'd be comfortable going out to a restaurant and pub? Is it something you're going to be doing, or is it something you'll be steering away from?
Personally, for me, I try and stay away from most things because when I'm out, I tend to have little ones with me and they just want to touch everything.
Yeah.
And they don't put hand sanitizer on because it stings, so it's a fight every time you go out. For me, I have steered clear away from a lot of things. I ventured into town for the first time at the weekend as Sports Direct was open. So I ventured out there, and I was surprisingly shocked at how little people were out. To be honest, I thought it was really busy. Yes, I understand that there was large queues when certain shops opened, and like you said, like Mim says, you don't want to criticise other people for going out and shopping. For me, I like to stay clear and just see. I like to see it when it's died down, and obviously then venture out. But then, like I said, I was very shocked at how quiet it was in town. I was able to get round. They've put signage. So with pubs and restaurants open, I do think they will put the same precautions in place. And like you said, I'd hope to think that they probably wouldn't show football, just because once you've had like people drinking, I think you become a little bit more unaware of how close you are to people. And so yeah, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, definitely. I 100% agree with that. I think as well, I think there's going to be quite a few restrictions and stuff like that. I would assume around it. I don't quite know how it's going to work with regards to sort of time limits in restaurants and pubs, whether if someone's in the pub in the morning, can this be there all day? Is it going to be a case of they can be there for a couple of hours? I think there's still a lot of stuff sort of to come out with it. And I think, like you say, I think there's going to be a lot of people that are sort of waiting and letting other people sort of test the water before they go out. I think the one thing that I would say with regards to the shopping, it's interesting that you say when you went into town, you thought it was going to be really busy. I spoke about it on the previous podcast, but obviously because I work in retail, that first day was quite busy. But I do think that the news kind of made it into a huge story of that there was queues everywhere, and that simply wasn't the case. And I think it then means that people like yourself, when you went into town, you probably felt really apprehensive, thinking, oh my word, it's going to be really busy. I want to make sure I get in, get out. And actually, when you got there was no queues. So it wasn't as bad as sort of the dramatising that the news was doing about it all. And I think it's important that they don't try and do that with the pubs and stuff, because otherwise the same thing's going to happen.
Yeah, I can honestly say I went in on a Saturday. So I went in this Saturday. I parked up, Payne Park, and then I was in and out in 40 minutes, and I went into 3 shops. So I literally put an hour on the car, and I did it under an hour. So like I said, I was really, really surprised at how little queuing times were, and as well, there was so much space. I think people underestimate how much space there actually is. It's a big area, the city centre is. So even if there are a lot of people in there, there's a lot of space for you all to kind of space out in. So yeah, I was really, really surprised.
Yeah, so I think, like you say, hopefully, well, I think they'll have to. The restaurants and pubs are going to have to follow these guidelines anyway, because otherwise they're not going to be allowed to open. So I think people should feel comfortable if they want to go out and that's something they want to do. They should feel comfortable being able to do it. But it's just important that we all continue to follow the guidelines. And it's not a problem that if some people don't want to yet, because there are going to be people who are really apprehensive about it. It is personal choice, like Min was saying, and everyone should feel comfortable about the choice that they're making. I think that's the main thing, really.
Yeah, I think it's just making sure everyone, like, building people's confidence as time goes on, that they're able to do that, and they won't, just because they've gone to a restaurant or they've gone to a pub, doesn't mean that they're going to catch the virus. Like, it can be a safe place to go to as long as people keep sticking to the measures, and the pubs and restaurants also put in place the correct procedures, so people are safe inside.
Yeah, definitely. Great stuff. So moving on from that, one big positive that's come out of sort of the last 7 days was the government U-turn on the free school dinners, which I think there was a lot of people campaigning for. Obviously, Marcus Rashford got behind the campaign quite heavily and sort of ended up leading that campaign. I just wanted to get opinions really on, should it have taken so long for the government to actually U-turn in the first place? But also the fact that I know footballers and stuff like that do quite often get a bit of bad press. So how good was it to see that one was actually out there sort of campaigning for everybody, and not just for himself, but he was out there campaigning for everyone and trying to make a positive difference. So what did we think about that?
Yeah, I thought it was really good, especially, the bad press footballers get. I think it's been a breath of fresh air for footballers, really, and especially Rashford, because I think he's come under a lot of criticism in the past for certain things, and we know how they're in the eyes of the media so much. So to see a really positive story come out of it has been amazing, to be honest. And fair play on him, still being so young, to lead such a powerful campaign has been amazing. So yeah, it's definitely very positive. But yeah, should the government have done it anyway? Did it really need to take someone who's in the public eye so much to change their minds? No, it shouldn't have.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting about this story is, I think 90% of people out there would probably say that it's the right thing to do. And I think we all knew as soon as they said that they weren't going to do it, everybody was kind of a bit enraged and thought, well, that's wrong. And actually, they should be doing these free school dinners. But if Marcus Rashford hadn't come forward and hadn't have led that campaign, would the government have changed their mind or not? And I think that's the thing for me, is it shouldn't take a figurehead like that to do it. They should already be making the right decisions. And I think even when they did backtrack on the fact that they were now going to do it, there was no sort of apologies for making the wrong decision in the first place. It was just, we've now decided that this is the right thing to do. But everybody else knew it was the right thing to do when they decided it wasn't. So I don't know whether it really should have took it, but I think fair play to Marcus Rashford for sticking with it and really for following what he believed. Because in the end, I do think the fact that he figureheaded that made the difference. So without him, I'm not sure they would have made that U-turn.
No, I don't think they would have.
And I think it's so important as well that sort of being someone that's in the public eye, being it, because it is quite a controversial topic. I think the big thing for me is that there would have been a lot of backlash from that. So to actually put your foot down and go, no, this is what's right, I think takes a lot. And I think it just pushes it a bit more when it's someone that's in the public eye and that knows that actually I'm willing to take this backlash from people that might not necessarily agree.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, 100%. Sam, did you have any opinions on it?
Yeah, well, I just agree with everything that you guys have just said. I think he's done a fantastic job, certainly pushing forward with it. And also it was nice to learn a bit more about why he did it as well. So obviously his personal experiences as a child, I think he relates to a lot of people, and obviously he's got a lot of people behind him that have supported him, and what he's done is great.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, actually. I think people sometimes put footballers on this pedestal and forget that actually they were kids once, and they forget about sort of the backgrounds that they've come from. And actually, like you say, hearing his story and the fact that this would have affected him as a kid, I think that touched a lot of people's hearts and thought, well, actually, do you know what? If this is affecting my kid, it almost gives sort of a guide for where that kid could get to in the future. So if Marcus Rashford came from them backgrounds, then you never know, their kid could go on to do something like that. So I think it gives hope as well for the future. Okay, great. So coming on to a question that got sent in specifically more for you, Sam, but I suppose we can all sort of give our slant on it. But this was just on about how, if you do manage to, how you manage to juggle sort of being a parent, still going to work, the troubles with lockdown, trying to keep in touch with people, and if you can actually find some time for yourself. I think this particular parent was struggling to actually find any time out for themselves, and was feeling a little bit overwhelmed, really, with everything that's going on. So I suppose just coming to you first, do you manage to find any time for yourself in between sort of parenting and working? And if so, how do you go about doing it?
Yeah, so obviously going off my personal experience, still obviously going out to work, me and my partner are both obviously key workers, so we're trying to juggle the time. But obviously, fortunately for me, my children have still been able to attend school. But then it just seems that there are just not enough hours in the day with everything that's going on at the minute and the extra jobs that I'm doing, shopping for people as well as working in the children. So I don't know whether it'll help other parents, but I know that for me, once I had done everything that I need to do in a day, I've actually been able to go back out on my bike. So that I felt like almost I had a bit of freedom, because even though, yes, I am going out and the children are still at school, for us as a working family and still going out and about, and like I say, the children still attending school, I still feel like I was very claustrophobic, and I'm struggling to accommodate everything that I need to do in 10 hours or whatever. So obviously for me, like I say, when the children are settled in bed, that was kind of like my time, especially if you're a household of two parents, maybe just take it in turns of having a bit of time out, whether it be go and sit at the bottom of the garden and just have a bit of free time, do a jigsaw, or like I said, for me it was going out on my bike, and just having that little bit of freedom away from the house, the children, everything, the craziness that's going on. But then on the flip side, obviously you've also got parents and children that are actually locked in confined space of the home, so, and not going to work and trying to juggle working from home and also the children trying to school from home. So maybe just doing some sort of, like I said before, I have said it before, just try and keep in a little bit of normality and a little bit of routine with maybe only a few hours a day or even an hour or anything with schooling. Maybe stick to meal times and have a routine in getting up in the morning at a certain time and going to bed still with the bath time routine or whatever. And then at least then again, if you are a two parent family, then one can take that time out again, now that you're able to go out and do a little bit more exercise or just go for a walk or just anything really, just making sure that you communicate and just talk to one another, and give each other a bit of time. But then if you are a single a parent family, then obviously just keeping that routine and able to have that bit of time out when the children are in bed and settled, or obviously have that time with them, maybe have a film night, just a relaxed night with them. Just remembering that obviously you need to just make that time out for yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was all good advice, really. I mean, like you say, it is so important that you managed to find that time, and I think it's great that obviously if you've been out on your bike and you're getting fresh air and stuff, it helps clear your head and stuff as well. So it's great that you've managed to do that, and we hope that will help whoever sent in that question, and that you'll be able to find a little bit of time for yourself over the coming weeks. Did either of you two have an opinion on that at all, or anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that was said there. I think touching on the sort of keeping a routine is so important as well, because it sort of allows that time to schedule in, actually, this is me time now, this is family time, this is work time, and sort of being able to stick to that and have something there to sort of reinforce it. I think also for parents that are sort of teaching their children outside of school at the minute to sort of keep up with their education and stuff, actually, it's so important that understanding that it's a really hard time for parents and children at the minute and the change of that routine. So not putting too much pressure on yourselves to do that. I mean, we're all learning every day at the minute because everything's so new. So I think it's about finding that balance of downtime as well, and that informal education of actually this is something new we're learning together, and it might not be sort of a curriculum based thing, but in terms of like a social aspect.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, I agree with everything being said, and I think it's just really important to take that time to self-reflect and maybe realise that you're not getting any time to yourself, and like Min mentioned, planning in that routine to allow time for that, it'll make a massive difference in your life. And like Sam's been doing, riding a bike, it's a great way to get out, be physically active, help release them positive endorphins around the body, and see how much change it actually makes, and it will do.
Great stuff. So this week again, we are going to end with our jokes, see if any of us can get a laugh. Normally we don't, so we'll see if any of us can actually get a laugh from one of the others. I'm praying that Sam laughs because the other two never normally do, so we will see. I'll kick things off. because mine's probably the worst this week. So my joke for you guys is, what are a ninja's favourite type of shoe?
I don't know.
Sneakers.
Wow.
I mean, the silence speaks volumes. I'm not going to lie. Sam, I was counting on you. You've let me down. Right, coming to you, Mim, for yours.
Okay, so mine's a bit of a cheesy one today. So there was an air conditioning problem in the cheese factory last week. It was an absolute meltdown. I got a little snigger there.
Yeah, that was more than I got. So
I got a cheesy joke as well. So it was like a bit of a double whammy.
That's it. That was a double whammy. That was right. Sam, coming to you.
Okay, so I've got one. Where do the police put trifle thieves?
Don't know.
In custody.
All three of us chuckled. All three of us laughed at that one.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good one.
That is a good one. Right, Ed, you've got some competition now. I'm not going to lie.
I know. I feel pressured following that. Okay. Right. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Who's there?
Who's there?
Interrupting cow.
Interrupting cow.
Boo.
I quite like that.
That was quite good.
I like that one.
Cheers.
I think we'll have that. We'll have that as a tie between Ed and Sam. They were both good. I think me and you need to up our game, Mim. I'm not going to lie.
We do.
I'll lend you my joke book.
Yeah, I think I need it.
it.
All right, great stuff. Thank you for that, guys. Special thank you for Sam for coming on again this week. So thank you for that, because I know you are mega busy. So thanks for coming on and joining us. Thank you to everyone for listening. Hope you have a really good week. Stay safe, and we'll speak to you all soon.
See you guys.
See ya. Bye.
Bye. Bye.